This is the Gaia Show. Yeah. This is the Gaia Show. On the front lines, up in your face, red light on and the tape rolls. We don't blink when we name names. This is the Gaia Show. This is the Gaia Show. On the front lines, up in your face, red light on and the tape rolls. We don't blink when we name names.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Geyer Show. My name is Geyer, and we got one heck of an episode for you today. The Republican primary debate last night for the three candidates that showed up, Ed Deal, David Medina, and Danielle Bethel, were asked some serious questions, and they gave some serious answers. Taryn Dar, now known as Taryn Feist, was the moderator, and she did an amazing job. So they tackled economy, they tackled education, they tackled crime, homelessness, the housing crisis that we have here in Oregon. And we thought it was a great debate. We think it was a start to something great here. And we believe that one of those people on that stage is going to be the next governor of Oregon. So we're going to bring a previous resident of Oregon for a very long time. He lived out here all of his life, I believe. And now he's a prominent live streamer, commentator. And we're going to welcome to the stage to discuss this, Quincy, the BC preacher. Welcome to the show.
Yes, the Geyer Show. The Geyer
Show.
Yes, indeed. I'm happy to be on. Thank you.
Of course, Quincy. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. No complaints. The Lord is good. So another day, another fresh of breath air. So
can't ask for anything better, huh?
That's right.
So this discussion, this debate last night, Quincy, it was something.
Was it? Yeah, you were there.
I was there live streaming.
Yeah.
Real quick, it was pretty cool to just kind of be a part of the action. Coos Bay County was actually welcoming of live streamers before they even decided to stream it on their own county website. Has that ever been something with you? Like, have you showed up to an event, like a press conference or anything, and have you been shunned away because you're not typical news stations?
Oh yeah, there's been situations like that where, okay, we have our own live streamer or you can't live stream type of thing in that type of settings. Yeah, there's been plenty of things like that.
Yeah, and of course, kicking press out of places like up in Seattle with Jonathan Cho.
Yeah.
There's, based on the public safety issues when it comes to reporting, it was pretty cool to go down there and know that I was welcomed.
Yeah, that's cool.
Have you been down there?
Once when I was young, like young, probably like middle school, 6th grade, maybe.
Got it. Field trip or something?
No, we was coming back from Disneyland, first time ever to Disneyland. We came back, went through the redwoods and sea lion caves and all that. So,
oh yeah,
yeah. So
I love the beauty of Oregon.
Back in the 80s, bro. Were you born yet?
No, I was born in the 90s.
Born into the 90s, yeah. That's when I was a black sheep in the 90s.
Right, especially here in Portland.
Yep. Mischief.
Lots of mischief. What was it like living as a kid in the 90s here in Portland?
It was lovely. And in the 80s. 80s was great. 90s started getting into more, but at the same time you're growing. So in the 90s started getting into more problems. But I was also growing, so I was becoming older. So I'm like, okay, I can go do this and act this way. And yeah, but both 80s and 90s were great.
Who was the governor of Oregon?
Oh, man.
Back then, do you remember?
It was, who was it? I would recognize, I'd say yes if I saw the name.
Right.
The mayor was Bud Clark. I think that was the
Bud
mayor.
Clark.
Bud Clark. He used to have a call sign, bro. Like, you know how like when animals mate and they have call signs?
Mm-hmm.
He used to have a call sign, bro. Whoop whoop. Seriously.
What was it?
Whoop whoop. Seriously, dude. I kid you not. I kid you not. And then I think after him was Vera Katz, the lady.
Okay.
But one of our governors, was it Kids Hopper? No, it wasn't Kids Hopper. He was conservative. It was like our last ever conservative governor.
1987.
Packwood? Was it Packwood? Was it Robert Packwood? Maybe that's it. Robert Packwood? I don't know. I'd have to look it up also to see who it was, but yeah.
Wow. 1987 was when they had the last Republican governor here in Oregon.
Who was it?
Bud Clark was not the mayor then, or he was the mayor. Let's see.
I think it was Robert Packwood. Or Bob.
It's showing
Robert Packwood. No, it wasn't Robert Packwood.
Victor Ataya.
Victor Ataya.
Victor Ataya served as a governor from Oregon, 1979 to 1987. 8 years.
I do not remember him.
Mm-hmm. Maybe if I pull up a picture.
I just don't remember the name. I'd go off more names than the picture.
Oh, yeah. Victor Ataya. And then, then it went Democrat.
Yeah.
Still Democrat.
Who was before it? 1979 through when?
1979 through 1987.
Wow. And who was after him as governor? Yeah, I don't remember. Victor. Wow.
Yeah, Victor Ataya.
Yeah,
in 1988, it was Michael Dukakis.
Yeah, I don't remember the governors. Maybe the mayors. Who was before Bud Clark or Portland mayor?
In 1978.
Oh, that was no, because Bud Clark became the mayor. He was in the 80s, I think.
So the mayor of Portland in 1978 was Neil Goldschmidt.
Neil Goldschmidt, and then I think he might have been
Terry Shrunk.
He might have been Republican, was he?
Mayor of Portland served as January 1973 until August 1979 after succeeding Terry Shrunk, who retired due to health concerns. Progressive. He was a progressive. Policies and initiatives during his tenure, which included urban development and transportation improvements.
You're right.
So they were still working on the transportation stuff even back in the 70s.
Right.
I wonder what that was like in comparison to the transportation bills that we have now. And that was something that was talked about last night at the debate significantly.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
Where we're sending our money. David talked about uncovering some fraud when he becomes governor, and he wanted to put a Doge audit in there.
Right.
Have you seen anything coming out of other Doge audits that kind of you would see he would go after in Oregon? Like what?
I haven't.
Departments?
I haven't been up on all the fraud and stuff like that, to be honest with you. So I haven't been too focused on that myself.
Got it. And then
obviously,
again, they talk about crime.
It's a real thing because it's happening, so obviously it's a trip how it came like to this head of like everybody's talking about the fraud stuff, which isn't bad, right? I'm just saying it's kind of like it's just interesting how all of a sudden it's a big like just busted open door, like everybody's focused on fraud and researching it and looking for it and doing all that.
Yeah, once Nick Shirley kind of made it public.
Yeah.
Is when he went there.
Yeah.
the fraud that we have here in Oregon, it's not been recent that it's been happening. I mean,
Well,
our
yeah,
governor
because yeah,
Brown.
yeah. And I mean, with any fraud, when you're talking about on the levels like what Nick Shirley exposed or talk about, that stuff, it's been going on. It's not just like the past year, it's something that's embedded in the system.
Hmm.
Right. So, if it's going on here in Portland, then it's been going on for a minute. It's not like something brand new.
Right. Just being brought to
It's
the
just being
table
brought.
now.
Yeah. And so it seems like it's brand new, but I mean, really, because you're talking about, businesses, you're talking about government, that stuff just don't happen overnight, and then how long has it been under the table or kept quiet, right? So you have that. How long has it been going on?
Yeah.
So
I mean, we saw it with Governor Brown when she was redacting her kayaking trips in
yeah,
Canada.
yeah,
Using our own tax dollars to benefit their pockets, their entertainment.
right.
And that's kind of what David was talking about when he said going after that
Yeah.
funding.
Yeah.
And
And I think you should, and if people have the skills to do it and know where to look, more power to them, because it's going to help everyday citizens, right? Because that's what it is. It's going to help citizens. It's going to help everybody overall. I mean, then at the same time, if they're being criminals doing stuff like that, illegal type of stuff, get them out of office or let their business close or whatever it may be, right? So,
yeah, businesses shutting down was a
right.
big topic that they were talking about.
Yeah.
Danielle Bethel actually has a really good fight in this because she's a county commissioner.
Hmm.
She's a small business owner,
Right.
and she knows how to run a business, and she knows that all of this stuff happening in Portland. The Measure 110 causing the drug issues,
Hmm.
the homelessness, hanging out, all the crime. It's hard to run a small business.
Yeah.
After leaving Portland, and you've been out of here for a couple of years now,
Yeah. About two
right?
and a half, going on three, 2.5 to
Do you
3.
do you see a difference in a more blue ran state compared to a red state when it comes to small business owners succeeding?
When it comes to small business owners succeeding, do I see a difference between a red state and or red city and a blue city?
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. I mean, at face value, I'd say no. And the only reason why I say no, because I mean, there's plenty of successful small businesses in Portland.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true. There's more people, right? I mean, so you have a bigger capita, more bigger market than a smaller red city, right? So a smaller red city still is going to have successful small businesses at face value, right? So there's successful small businesses here, but for the demographic and people who are here where I'm at, and for the people who are in Portland, the small businesses. I mean, like, for example, small businesses, you could walk up and down Northwest 23rd downtown Portland.
Mhm.
Those are small businesses.
And they're
They're not
booming.
right. They're booming. The food truck industry in Portland is a small business. They're booming.
Massive.
So, I mean, like I'm saying, at face value, I mean, I can't tell the difference. There's food cart businesses here where I live. They're doing good. I mean, but again, the population is a complete difference, right? So, I mean,
Yeah.
they're not going to be as busy as Portland, but they're still maintaining and running. They're not closing down.
Hmm.
So I'd say in regards to that, I think the bigger problem would be the environment going into which I think you want to, but is the drug use and homelessness.
Yeah.
That'd be the biggest thing, but for whatever reason, because it's Portland, I really don't think that it affects people, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. Because
Hmm.
people go to Portland, people like Portland, people know the culture before they come to Portland. So I don't think that's actually affecting people. Now people like you, myself, people who live in rural area, even people who live in Clackamas, things like that, it bothers them, right? But I don't know if it really affects them, because how much do they spend their time downtown in general?
Exactly.
So is it really affecting them? Like, I guess the question, here's the better question. If the homelessness and the drug stuff wasn't in Portland and people lived on the outside of Portland, would that make them come into downtown Portland?
Maybe.
Right. It could. I don't know.
I would rather have a drug-free Portland.
Well, yeah, I would too. But I guess what I'm saying, here's the thing. And this has always been my number one complaint about Portland, Oregon. Always, since I was young. There's nothing there that draws people. And if you really think about it, what attraction is in downtown Portland for you or your family, for your children?
We don't no water parks. There's no
Nothing.
Amusement parks, no zoos. I mean, we're the Portland Zoo, obviously.
Portland Zoo, right?
But there's no aquarium.
Right. And I'm talking about in the heart of downtown Portland.
There's nothing.
There's nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I don't think there's ever been, I don't recall ever there being something in downtown Portland that was a draw, like an attraction. Like, Portland's never been a destination like I want to go for, like a LA, Anaheim, or a Florida, or people come to Portland for the mountains, for outdoor stuff. And
they stay in Portland.
Right. And they stay in Portland. And that's the draw for Portland, Oregon, and that region is outdoory type of stuff. So that's the type of people that usually move into Portland. So they're, I don't know. It's weird. Portland's a weird environment, bro. I've never been able to figure it out.
It's a different city compared to, I mean, I tell people this all the time. I've walked through Memphis, Tennessee at 2:00 in the morning. Never had any problems. Never felt kind of weird. LA, whatever. Walking to Portland at noon. And you're just like, what's going on here?
Yeah. It's always been just kind of weird to me.
It's adult entertainment.
You said dull?
Adult.
You said it's adult entertainment?
Adult entertainment. That's what's there.
Yeah, I mean,
clubs and
that's clubs. Around. Yeah.
But to me, that's not entertainment. That's not bringing people.
Yeah, it's not bringing people. Right. They don't bring people into Portland because of that.
So what did these candidates have to do? Like, if you're in charge of Oregon, you're in charge of all these different departments. Another reason why we don't have, big stadiums here rather than the Motor Center. The reason why we don't have sports teams, like a big football team, or attractions, is because of where's all the money going? How are we going to build something like that?
Right.
And if we do build something like that, if we have a city that's completely ravished with crime and drugs and homelessness, people aren't going to want to come to that city, right? Even if it's to enjoy a football game or a water park or Six Flags.
I agree, but disagree. Because, I mean, here's the thing, because you mentioned those things, which are, I think, things that help a city. But look at all the cities where these things are at. They have the same problems as Portland, right? You have LA. I mean, they just built a banging stadium in Inglewood, California, Compton area.
In the hood.
So does it really matter? People still go to the game. You use the Blazer game in the Motor Center. There's homeless all around there.
But people walk right by it.
They do.
It's become desensitized.
It's desensitized. So that's what I'm trying to say. Does it really matter? We care because we're on one side of the aisle or one side of the fence or whatever. But in general, people, I'm sure you've been to the Motor Center. I've been to the Motor Center. That's how I know. You go under the bridge right there at I-5. Yeah, it stinks, but you're like, okay, I'm going to the game. Who cares?
Yeah, we deal with it.
I mean, yeah, would it be cool not to have your kids have to walk around and, there's piss there? Yeah, it'd be cool. But Okay, what are you going to do about it? I'm still going to go to the game. I'm still going to go to the concert, you know?
Mhm.
So it's like it's here's the thing. It's not it don't affect us enough to do anything about it,
Gotcha.
right? Because if it affected us enough to do something about it, and I say this all the time, we'd kind of be like the left. We'd be at City Hall all the time, every time. Every Tuesday that City Hall's open, there'd be 1,000 people outside of City Hall. Yo, this has to change. Clean up the bridge by the Motor Center so we can walk, you know, but
Mhm.
we don't go down there enough. It's not affecting us really. So
Right.
do we care?
I think we do care and we do clean it up, but we're just moving it to a different spot.
Yeah, you move it.
Right.
Yeah. If
So how do
that.
you get rid of it completely? You can't, because we're so
Mm,
far gone.
Well,
That was one of my questions.
no, I know that's why I kind of went there a little bit.
Mhm.
Part of the problem is that the liberal churches
Hmm.
and the homelessness. They know that. So back in 2020, this is kind of how I got started. Back in 2020, right as COVID hit, me and another live streamer that no longer lives in Portland, we teamed up and started going out to homeless camps, encampments, and we were interviewing the homeless people because it was booming at the time.
Mhm.
And they were actually several of them actually said to us that a lot of people know to come to Portland for homelessness. And we said, well, you know, the question was, well, why? And they literally said because of, I mean, I'm paraphrasing at this point exact words, but it was along the lines of they get everything that they need. They're taken care of.
Hmm.
So I can live homelessness. I can be homeless, not pay anything, and still get everything handed to me that I need in order to live. I can get the shelters. I can get the food. I can get the blankets. I can get the clothes. So why do I need to work? So that's so that was some of the thing. It was a draw to Portland because of what Portland would offer and give. And that obviously comes from, if you want to say government down, programs down, whatever, that's where it comes from.
Hmm. And it's still like that too. You
Yeah,
see people out there
obviously.
all the time
Yeah.
that I choose to be homeless.
Yep. Yep.
So are the policies, so we know how affect homelessness can like affect us, right? And small businesses or somebody
Yeah.
coming in from out of state. But why are we focusing on, taking care of these problems for us? Why aren't we focusing on the problems of actually helping these people? Like the homeless people, instead of everybody else worrying about it and fixing it for everybody else, I think a better idea would be to shift and focus on the actual help of getting the homeless person off the street into a
Yeah.
sobriety home.
Right. But then again, how do you do that? There's a bigger question. And I agree with you. That I think that's where the system and everything is failing with this and why you keep seeing what we see. Because I think one of your questions was, when I was looking at it, like, how did you label it? No tolerance thing.
Yeah, zero tolerance.
Right. And so I think to a point there has to be some of that, because there is that here where I live. There's a zero tolerance. Like there's no homeless people parked, camped, sleeping on sides of the road where I'm at. So it has to be from the top down of a no tolerance, and you set that tone in your city.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you can still set it in a city that's has a lot of people. I think you can. I mean, you go to Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. Yeah, it's an island, but it's a tourist place. You don't have it. I mean, I haven't been up there in 20 years, but last time I was up there, you don't see all that. They keep it well kept, no littering, like really no littering.
Yeah, it's like Japan.
Right. You set the tone. You set the
Mm-hmm.
you set it. You make your city based on, the atmosphere you put into it and what you allow and don't allow.
That goes back to what you were saying about people coming to Portland for what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's some of it. Put them in the right programs, clean it up off your street. And if you don't have the right programs, then I guess you got to figure out what type of programs to do,
Well, we got to take away these programs.
or take away the programs. But if you take away the programs, is that going to create more of a problem? Or do you fix the programs and make the programs effective and efficient? That's actually going to clean the people up and actually going to get them a job, right? If you don't want the job, then maybe there is a law. Then okay, well now you're going to be put in prison because we can't house you in jail.
Mhm.
So now you're going to be put in prison, or or something, right? So there has to be something that is put in place to actually clean these people up. If they don't want to be cleaned up, then maybe there has to be some sort of rule that, okay, well, you're not going to live on the street. You're not going to be homeless going here and there and using meth in your camper and all this type of stuff. You're going to be put in prison.
Yeah.
Possibly, and that's the thing is there's probably too much gray area when it comes to this type of stuff. And maybe it's more of I don't know, maybe it's laws I don't even know about, but I'm just thinking you have to go harder.
Compared it to compassion over what they say, compassion over law or compassion over compromise, or something like that. It's like you got to have a certain degree of compassion for these people. But then again, you have to understand that we have rule of law.
You do, but not to a point of where that's what they're, like I said earlier, some people are coming to Portland just because of that. They're knowing they're going to get taken care of. So do I really have compassion for that? That when you're choosing and you're wanting to be homeless because you know that you're getting taken care of, I don't have compassion for that.
Yeah, it's true. I don't have compassion for it either.
Right. Now, someone who's really legitimately homeless and something really happened to them and there's a real struggle, okay, I got some passion for it. But not someone out on the street. I mean, for instance, how many times have you gone? I mean, I've done this a lot. I've gone and, you see a homeless person and you actually have some food with you, right? And they don't want the food. Right? They'd rather have money so that they can go get alcohol or drugs or whatever. So I'm like,
you can't cans.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, I don't really have compassion for that myself personally. Because if you're really homeless, here's some free food. Do you want it or not? If you're really homeless.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the homeless out here, you're right. I've even offered watermelons, a fruit tray, even shoes out of the back of my truck. Luckily, the guy took my shoes. He
Right.
didn't have any shoes. But they don't take anything unless it's going to benefit their drug habit.
Right.
And 90% of these homeless people on the streets of Portland are all addicted to drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Scary.
Yeah.
And then when you got nonprofit organizations coming in and giving them all of the drug paraphernalia that they can use to use their drugs and the harm reduction programs, I think that's something that we need to take away, Quincy, because it's terrible.
The what?
There's a harm reduction program here in Portland.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the nonprofits are being tasked with it. They're going to these homeless camps, specifically the ones that the police are clearing out, and they're giving them, drug needles, clean needles, so that they're not transmitting HIV. They're giving them spoons, cotton swabs.
Yeah, stop doing that. That needs to be taken out. Like, so we're just helping people shoot up basically, and then here's your little drop box for your needle inside the Burger King bathroom.
Mm-hmm. Burger King bathroom. That's why we have to have codes on all of our bathrooms now.
Yeah.
Were there codes on bathrooms when you were living as a kid in Portland?
No.
No locks or nothing?
No.
Yep. Nothing was really locked up in the stores?
No. There's nothing locked up in the stores here. Actually, I have a picture of it. I was going to post it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Every Starbucks has a lock on the door.
Yeah. Locks.
So do you think the tolerance, because Portland is left, there's a lot of liberals in Portland, a lot of the workforce is left leaning. Um, how do you think they feel about it? As like a Starbucks, a barista having to deal with the homeless coming in and doing drugs in their bathrooms. Like we see the liberals or the left likes to accept the homelessness. The right doesn't really like to accept the homelessness. So how as a workforce and being liberal, do you think they have to stop that coming in? And are they against it? Or are they all for it?
I don't really think they're for it necessarily. Again, it's here. I mean, when you're talking about business, right? Like you just mentioned Starbucks and them having their doors locked, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, time will tell, right? I mean, so if Starbucks in downtown Portland at Pioneer Square, who has been there for 20 plus years, right? They're still operating, they're still in business. And if people are still coming in there, buying their Starbucks, paying no attention to the homeless man that just walked in and has to go to the bathroom and is shooting up in the bathroom. And if they're still operating, they're not caring because their thing is about business and money. I'm still making money. And you're talking about a corporate chain. Am I really worried about that? I'm like, no, we're fine. I don't know the crime level. I don't know the crime level or what's really happening at Starbucks down at Pioneer Square. I'm using that just as a reference because it's downtown Portland. So they're around all of it. But people, people are constantly going into that Starbucks, getting their stuff, their lattes. And so is it really bothering people?
Desensitized to it.
Right.
Just get on throughout your day.
Yeah. I mean, I may not like it, but I can ignore it.
It's hard for me to ignore it. It's hard for me to, it goes into this
It is
comment right here.
We have homelessness in Washington that compares to Portland. Yes. I at least take them food and care. Sounds like you guys put them in one basket. Guess you've never been hungry.
It's hard to care, or it's hard to not care, because like we're humans here, and when I see a homeless man on the side of the street, like nodding off of drugs, I'm gonna kick his foot to make sure he's not dead. Because if you have a body laying in the streets and nobody does anything with that body for a couple days, that can cause disease. And that's a big problem. We don't want that happening. But then again, it's just like if we go to help these people, they like you said, Quincy, they don't want the help. You give them the food, they say we don't want the food.
Yeah. What do you do at that point for the person that said that they taken food? What if they don't want the food? What do you do then? Because that's what I experienced a lot myself. So what do you do when they don't want the food, which I've done myself? I don't make it a goal every day to go to the store and buy a case of Top Ramen or a case of Snickers or a case of chips and go out and feed the homeless. I don't make it a point to do that. But when I do have the food, like an extra burger or something like that, and I give them one and they don't want it, what do you do then? Because that's still considered helping if they're homeless, right? If they're homeless, they're hungry. They should be. So what do you do at that point when they don't want it? I'm not going to give them money. And mostly because of, if you want to say the stereotype or because of the history or because of what we may believe, of the alcohol or helping to promote their addiction, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. And even on their addiction, they don't even want to eat. Their body doesn't allow them to eat.
Yeah.
Because they are so high. I mean, methamphetamine, you're not eating on methamphetamines.
Right.
So I see it when I go down into Portland. I see the different types of drugs. And in North Portland, there's a lot of meth. In South Portland, there's a lot of heroin and fentanyl. But going back to the location we were talking about, like it's all about your location of owning a small business. I think it's also about having a storefront in that location, because where you're at, there's no homelessness. How do they take care of the homeless out there? Like say someone is sleeping in an alcove in your town, somewhere that has a zero policy, Zero
Mhm.
tolerance policy. How did they take care of it?
I don't know. I have no clue because
Hmm.
I kid you not. I haven't seen it. I kid you not. I have not seen it since I've been here. I haven't
Wow.
seen the campers. I haven't seen a tent. I think I'll take that back. I think I've seen one tent.
Huh.
One tent once.
It's too cold out there.
But uh, it's been mild this year. We just had 8 inches the past 2 days, but
Are they
um,
busting them back over here? Like,
I
if they
don't.
find any homeless
Bro,
people?
I have no look. I have no clue. I
Hmm.
have no clue, Geyer, because like I said, I don't even see it come in. You
But you
don't
go to
see it.
Caldwell,
What's
which
up?
3 hours south of you. You go
Yeah,
to Caldwell, Nampa, it's everywhere.
right. Yeah, but it's a bigger city.
Mhm.
Nampa. I don't know about Nampa so much, but definitely Boise probably is getting it.
Boise's getting
Yeah,
a little bad. Not bad. I wouldn't say bad. It used to be
yeah.
very clean.
It used to be. Yeah, yeah. And so yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answers. Um, it to me, it somewhere has to start from the top down. But then again, when you have the populations that these big blue cities have, how do you have the manpower to control that? Maybe that's a better question. How do you control it? Because I want to be fair and go out on the limb here, right? I don't really want to see it's hard to think that even Democrats, right, want a dirty city. Does that make sense?
That's kind of what
Just
I
like-
was saying about that Starbucks employee.
right. Just as a human being in general, I don't think that the regular type of Democrat wants to just see a dirty city. That's hard to think. But at the same time, since it is Democratic ran, okay, here let's flip it. Let's flip it. Let's say it was let's say it was a conservative. Let's say it was a conservative town, big city, million
Mhm.
people.
Do we have one of those?
We don't, but I'm just flipping the script, right?
Right.
How would they control it? Because at the same time, your police force is only going to be so big. Your government is only going to be so
Mhm.
big. Because even as a police force, let's say you got capacity, police force, right? You can't hire no one for whatever reason. So there's no room. We can't hire no one now. We're full. We're booked up. Whatever that number may be. Maybe it's 1,000 police officers, but you have 1 million people living in your city, right? So how even could you control that? Even if it was, yeah. I mean, are you going to again, unless it goes back to programs and you're arresting these people?
Mhm.
I mean, that's the only thing I could think of. I don't know because I'm not up in it like that, so I don't.
Aftercare. I think it's the process of being put into the court systems. Um, what they do with you after you get put into jail,
Right,
right?
and that's
Because
right.
if
Yeah, and that's why I say it has to be somewhere between that area and the programs. So there has to be a
yeah,
no tolerance somewhere in the programs that we're really going to clean you up. It's kind of like the whole catch and release thing, and then you end up finding a person that does a whole mass shooting where they were already locked up and they didn't do what they needed to do with the person in the first place.
Mm.
And now the person got back out. Now the person just did a whole mass shooting out of school, but he already had a track record of something.
We see that a lot.
Exactly. So it's somewhere within the system, within the prison or jail system, in other systems that's failing people in general, even when it comes to the homelessness, even when it comes to the drugs
Mhm.
and all that type of stuff.
Do you see a lot of do you see a lot of drugs
Not up here.
in Idaho?
No,
No.
no. So
Okay.
not I mean, nothing. Yeah. I mean, I've seen in Idaho itself, I mean, where I'm at, they might have one cannabis spot.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I don't.
there's not even
Cannabis isn't
that.
legal in Idaho.
And
Only on the
maybe it's not.
medical.
Maybe it's not. Maybe that's why there's none. Okay.
Yeah, there is none.
There's one at the state line.
Right on Ontario, there's a Cookies.
Oh, that's what it's called?
It's called Cookies. That's a guy named Burner. He's like a rapper.
Yeah.
His whole business. Somebody was wondering real quick, what are your headphones? What type of headphones do you use?
Just Sony.
Just
They're
Sony
old
headphones.
DJ headphones.
Yeah. Old DJ headphones.
Yeah.
Back in the day, huh?
Yeah. I think these are. Yeah. Yeah. These are the Sony. Sorry, squeaking. These are the Sony dynamic ones.
Nice. They're comfy.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. We wanted to talk about the school system a little bit. Because I know, you're not only a preacher, you're not only a conservative, you're a father as well.
Yeah.
You've had kids.
A couple.
A couple. You've had them go through school systems.
Yeah.
Ours is terrible. If you look at the public school systems, when I went to David's first rally, he brought up somebody that talked about all of all the porn that's inside of these books, inside of these libraries. 179 authors that create these books of pornography inside of these libraries that these kids in middle school are reading.
Right.
That's only a Democrat policy, in my opinion, right? Well, not even a policy, but allowing that to happen in the schools? Or do you think it's just complacency of just not looking into our education systems on that type of level?
You're referring to like just the stuff that's in the school?
Yeah, just pushing the transgender, pushing the mommy and me. That's the.
I think that's again. I think that's going back to a blue city.
Yeah,
you're not going to have that, but you're not. For instance, Molalla, Oregon, back in 2020. It was interesting because there's some people that live out that way who are conservative, and I remember them talking about how, or you even use Sandy, Oregon, Molalla, Sandy, Oregon, even Gresham, Oregon, at one point in the 90s and stuff, that these type of things were not in those areas. But as a city grew, people go into these cities, these outskirts cities. They get involved in the school boards. They have children, and things start to change. I mean, however it happens, it happens. I never understood it, because I was telling people back in 2020, I'm like, yeah, this stuff is actually going to come to Molalla. Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. I'm like, yeah, it is. Yeah, I said, yes, it is. It's already started, actually. And it was. They didn't realize it. Then pretty soon, I think about 2 years later, they started having problems in their school district. I was like, I told you. Because it spreads. It spreads.
It starts with the city councils, or not the school boards. I mean,
it starts with that. But part of the problem is what people don't realize. It started with the civil rights. That's where it actually started from, and people capitalized on that and hijacked the civil rights movement and era to turn it into my personal civil right. Because
like the Me Too.
It's sort of like the Me Too, yeah. So my personal civil right, I have freedoms. Now you're going to tell me what I can and cannot do with my freedom that you said that our soldiers fought for. So if I want to switch this up about my body or myself, I have the freedom to do that, and that's my civil right to do that. Now, if I come to school that way, if I need to use the girls' bathroom because now I'm a girl, now you're messing with my civil right because this is what I am. So it's a chain reaction of a lot of stuff for why we're where we're at. It's
not
really
civil rights to me.
Says who?
I guess. But I guess it is your civil right. Like if you
It
want to
is.
pretend to be a girl, that's your right to pretend to be a girl. Right?
Exactly. That's a
But
civil right. That's what I'm trying to say. The civil rights screwed up a lot of things.
but when you want to change yourself physically and you're going to go to a doctor and you're
It's still
demanding the doctor do it and you're demanding, well, how it's going to get how is it going to get paid for? You know, you
okay.
don't have the money to pay for a transgender surgery. So
Correct.
then it's not your right to do so because you're expecting somebody else to do something for you.
Well, I'm going to go to a program that can help me.
Well, where's that program being paid by?
That don't matter. There's activist groups, there's civil rights groups. Again, I want to get a civil right lawyer. So that's what I'm trying to say. A lot of this stuff and that's why they're always suing and win, because it's civil rights. It's all connected to a civil right era, the era of civil rights. That's what
They're
that's
all
what
winning.
right. That's what birthed out of civil right. The whole Martin Luther King thing. That's what birthed out of that. Even though Martin Luther King wasn't fighting for that, but that's what birthed out of it. Unfortunately, it became no longer about it was a discrimination on black people or another ethnicity. It grew into all this other stuff. It's my civil right if I want to, I mean, look at businesses now, right? And I see it all the time now. And I remember in the 90s and 80s that you would never see this. You never go into a business and see people with tattoos from their head down. Never. It was a thing that you had to be clean shaving, had to look presentable and respectable. Well, now you're going to discriminate me because I have a tattoo. Well, now you're going to get sued. And now you go places everywhere. People are gauges in their ears, all sorts of color of hair, tattoos, all on their face, and they're having jobs. And a lot of people are having like successful jobs because you can't discriminate against my freedom. This is my freedom. I want to do my body, my choice, my freedom. We remember America fought for freedoms. This is a freedom. And now you want to tell me with my civil right that I can't do that. So we've created the monster, and then at the same time we're complaining. Then at the same time we're saying, "Oh yes, our freedoms." What is it?
But science tells you that. Well, you can think you can have the freedom to think that, right? Because even if
Yeah, everything
if
is
they believe
freedom.
they can be a girl, if you're a man and you believe you can be a woman,
Mhm.
and you believe that you have that freedom to do so, and if anybody impedes on that freedom, they're in the
Mhm.
wrong.
Correct, because it's my freedom. The land of
But
the free, our freedoms.
right, but they have the freedom to think that.
Yeah,
They
you have
don't
the
have the
freedoms.
freedom to act upon it
They
because
do.
it just got not in Oregon anymore. Not if you're under 18.
Right, unless things change with laws,
Mm-hmm.
that's the only way. But if laws within your state are not changing, then it's still my right, my civil right, and it's still the freedoms we have. So it goes from a constitution type of thing on down. We can't just, and that's the thing. How do you change these things in constitutions and legislations and laws and rules like this? You, like you're saying, it has to, like in Oregon, you're saying in Oregon they can't do what no more?
I believe there was a law put into play where it's transgender surgeries. You
Hmm.
can't do gender reassignment surgeries if you're under 18. Don't quote me on that, but
Right, right. I get right. So you can't do it if you're under 18. You have to probably get consent from
mhm.
a parent in order to do it. And matter of fact, Trump had actually that was going to be his rule. He actually did a Truth Social post about that and then redacted it and took it away and then said that it wasn't allowed in general.
Hmm.
But at first he did say that. He said, "Yeah, if a parent signs for it, then you can switch up." He retracted it after he put the post up. He retracted it and then came back and said, "No, not at all."
Mhm. Why is a bathroom so like? Why is everyone worried about a bathroom? You know,
What do you mean?
like so I have I'm seeing comments about bathrooms, like men and women's bathrooms with transgenderism, putting, especially in schools, right? Like if this person who's a who's a man and he believes that he's a woman and he believes that he has the freedom to be a woman, and so therefore he has to go into the woman's
This is
bathroom.
not normal thinking for us who are normal. You know, we're thinking like
Mhm.
that's not that's why it becomes an issue for people like me or yourself, because it's not, you see this and you're like, well, that's not normal. You don't belong in here.
That's not normal to us, but it's normal to
Well,
him.
them, right.
So what makes right? What makes it right? Who's right in this situation?
And it's hard to tell, right? Because we've created this, right?
Yeah.
We've
So why a
created this.
bathroom? Because
Probably because of
public.
things that can happen. It's a public place. Well, is it a yeah, I mean, there's it's good questions. Why a bathroom? I mean, because of things that could probably happen in the bathroom. I mean,
Mhm.
even I mean, but at the same time, that can happen in a bathroom where a person goes into the correct bathroom.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, even before all this, parents used to be afraid to have their son or daughter go to, to the bathroom in general. So that thing, that stigma or that thought has always been there about don't let them out of your sight type of thing, you know, being careful about going to the bathroom. That's always been an issue, no matter this whole transgender
Mhm.
thing. It's just increased more because it makes more people uncomfortable, which I
Yeah.
understand it, right? It's like, that's weird. I'm standing up peeing next to a girl.
I don't think
That's
I've ever experienced that. I don't think I've
well, I
ever had
mean,
a woman,
but do you know?
I
You know
don't
what I'm
know.
saying?
Yeah,
Right? I
here
don't
in
know
Oregon, you don't know anymore.
don't know. I mean, but I think that's where sometimes it comes down to is that
So how do we change the laws to not have pornography in libraries and schools? What in my I know how we do it. Do you, like in your opinion, how as a parent, and if you saw something like that in a public school, I mean, Quincy,
well,
have you
how would you change it?
um there's freedom of speech laws at that point since it's in a book. But then again, sexualization of minors, it's a felony here in Oregon. And in my opinion, the gay pride flag, right? What does gay pride represent? To me, it represents being gay. The only thing that changes you from being gay to being straight is sexual intercourse and how you go about your sexual intercourse. Okay. To me, that's what the pride flag represents is I have sex differently. This is how I do it, right? If this is with a man or this is with a woman,
Right.
and I'm a man or I'm a woman.
Mhm.
So when you put a flag like that in a school, automatically that's sexualization. You're presenting sexuality to minors. Now
But
I
there
know that we talk about science and we talk about, puberty and stuff in middle school and biology.
right.
Um, but so we just enhance that to the books, to the libraries. I think we do a complete audit of the educational system.
But you can't now because of you can't because science, as they say, because they also use science. And so they also
Mhm.
have scientists on their side that proclaims people were born that way. So now you have two different science going on, right? You have two different scientists battling out if people were born that way or not born that way,
Mhm.
right? So yeah, you and I view it as a sexual preference symbol, which it is, right? Because I can argue both ways. I can argue people were born that way. I can also argue against it. Um, but you introduced that to kids, right? Because of science. That's how they did it. They put that because kids, oh well, Johnny's now Sarah. Well, and I never felt like I was really Johnny, so I became Sarah. Well, it's okay because you were born that way. And we're not going to discriminate against how you were born, right? Because we didn't, we got rid of that in the 70s when we discriminated against how black people were born. So that's what they do. That's how they put it into the school. and get away with it because they've taught it now in the school since 2000. Katy Perry, I kissed a girl and I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
We put it into the school to let children know that if you're feeling different about yourself, well, it's okay. You're born that way. So how do you take that away? How are you going to tell it? How are you, we gave power to kids. That's what the problem was. We went away from the spanking. We went away from the discipline in schools, and we started giving power and a voice to children who are undeveloped. Right? They're not developed at 5 years old.
Not at all.
Right. But we gave them power because I don't want to be
5-year-old doesn't know what he wants.
Right.
5 minutes from now.
I don't want to be the mean parent because I was spanked at 5 years old. I don't want to do that. So you gave power to the children. Okay, you feel that way, understand. So, I mean, that's some of it.
I think we fix ourselves as individuals as well. I think dads need to step up and be better dads.
That's a whole battle.
It's a huge battle. And
because
family's not separating.
Yeah, but see, you're going in. You and I think conservative, right? You have society that doesn't think conservative, right? You have a society that is against a lot of, these are general moral biblical principles. So you have a society that's against that, mixed in with, again, the Constitution and our freedoms. The freedoms it's not as good as what people think. I guess it's hard to say. It's not. It's created a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And so what do you do with that? I mean, you'd have to really go back to it had to be reversed. I mean, big time. You take prayers out of school, then you start having school shootings. You start having all this type of stuff go on. They're not saying Pledge of Allegiance no more in school. It's a lot, man. It's a lot.
When we were at the debate yesterday, my son didn't even know what a water fountain was. Like those little turn water fountains.
Yeah.
They don't have those in school anymore. They have hydro water.
Yeah. Pure water.
Right. You said they took prayer out of schools and more school shootings happen across the map. That's a good statistic. I didn't know about that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
So is it taking God away from the children?
Yeah, you take all that away where they used to be. It used to be kind of like taught, right? And I don't want to say it was taught, but it was definitely in the school system. I remember going to school, standing up every morning doing a Pledge of Allegiance.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt that's happening now.
It's not.
Right. So
they don't say the Pledge of Allegiance.
So all these little things are happening, things are being stripped, taken away from, chipped at, so as far as, like I said, you and I think conservative, we think about, the family unit, right? But even the family unit, even on the conservative side, is a lot of times still warped, just like it is with the liberal side. And that becomes, I could get into all that, but I'm not going to.
Yeah. We already know how that goes.
Yeah.
I think I just think we need to step up as parents, in my opinion, and kind of understand what's in our schools, what's not in our schools, and what we could swap it out for.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the pornography in the schools, man, regardless if you're Republican or a Democrat.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, that whole thing is weird. The whole pornography in the schools for children, and they can see books. That's weird.
It's not really like visual pornography. It's written out, so they're telling stories. So it's like smut, which is disgusting.
Yeah,
and especially if it's children, like 8-year-old child is reading something like that.
Right. So the question would be, well, why are they having it in a school? For one, I guess, and let's get the answer for that first. Like, why is that? Or why do you think it should be in a school? Get the answer for that, and then you can break it down from there. But I don't know.
These authors are making money.
You said what?
These authors are making money and they're making them for these kids. They're not just taking these books that are written for adults. Like these
Right.
authors are actually writing these for these children. So maybe we need to, maybe that's something that
I mean,
I need
that's
to
the first.
focus on.
Yeah, that'd be a first thing is that
Yeah.
ask them from a neutral pers- from a neutral point of view, so that so that they can answer the question. Because if you come to them in a demeanor or way where it's sounding like you oppose them, you're not going to get the truthful answer.
That's
So
a good comment.
you got to ask them, why do they write them for children? What is it a demand? Because they're probably only writing it because it's a demand somewhere. God, why do you allow these school violence? And God answers, I can't tell you. I'm not allowed in schools. What? I didn't understand that.
He said it's basically like a joke. Like, God, why are you allowing this school violence? And he's saying, well, it's because I'm not allowed in there.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. Or an analogy, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've really taken God out of schools.
Yeah. A
Unless you're in a
long time ago.
yeah, unless you're in a Christian school, Muslim school, any
Yeah.
type of religious school.
Yeah.
Wow.
They took it out a long time ago.
Where did you graduate from, Quincy?
Me, Parkrose High School, Portland, Oregon.
Parkrose High School.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, it's changed. I was
Parkrose?
just that area.
Oh yeah, I know. I was there.
Yeah.
I was going there when they tore down I was going there in the construction of the school that you see now.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
Portland's got history to it, man. It's cool that you got to see how it was back in the day. I
Yeah.
wasn't around yet, but I've even seen it change
Yeah.
over the time that I've lived here. We
I
used
think
to
I've
ride
seen,
our longboards
oh
through
yeah.
here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Longboards. I think I've seen how many schools have I seen change? I saw Franklin change. I think Cleveland's going through a change if they haven't already done it.
David Douglas
No, Douglas has been the same.
has it.
Yeah.
What
At
about
least
Roosevelt?
since the 90s. Roosevelt changed. Yep. I think Benson has been going through a change the last few years. It might be complete now. I haven't been by there. Did Clackamas change? There's been a few schools that changed, like a complete revamp, remodel. I think Parkrose was one of the first, if I remember correctly. Because they did theirs, like I said, probably like 94, 95, somewhere around there. So practically 30 years now. Dang.
32 years ago.
I didn't
94,
tell how
great
old.
year.
Did I tell you how old? Dang.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. I don't think Gresham has changed. I think it's still the same on that little street.
Was Gresham still ghetto back in
No.
the day? It wasn't.
No. They weren't
Farmland,
happy.
right?
It wasn't farmland per se, but it was safe zone, if you want to say that.
Yeah.
Put it this way. I'll say this. So back in the 90s, they considered Parkrose far. Yes. They considered that was the talk. That's way out there.
Way out there.
Yes. That's what people were saying about Parkrose, which is on 122nd and Shaver in Portland, Oregon. People who lived in Portland would say that's way out there. So,
that's like me saying yesterday. It's 30 minutes too far.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. That's what that's like.
Well, I just got done driving 5.5 hours.
Yes, only Mr. Bill says Troutdale was out in the boonies. Yes, Troutdale
Yes.
was considered the boonies back in the 90s. Yes, it was. Where the dog track was at. Yes.
Man,
Yes.
you're talking about a dog track, so you must know.
Yeah, it was considered the boonies.
That's
Troutdale
cool.
was and Troutdale's right next to Gresham. So
Yep. It goes Troutdale. It goes Gresham,
yeah,
Troutdale,
south is
Sandy.
yeah. Then south is Gresham from Troutdale.
Wow. Yeah, man, I mean, other than the Republican primary debate yesterday that we kind of just covered and the issues that are going on in Oregon, they talked about the Oregon Greater Idaho
Mhm.
issue a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you think that's gonna get pushed forward? Do you?
They've been pushing for that for what, 6 years now, I think, ish, 5 years.
Mhm.
I don't know what the holdup is on it. I don't, and at the same time, I get why people want it. But again, here's the thing. People are thinking that Idaho's not going to stay red. I'm going to be honest with you guys. It's not going to stay red. And so with that said, I can see why people want it because they believe that Idaho is one of the last red states, right? So it's like, oh, we're rural. Can we please be in Idaho so we're not in liberal Oregon?
Mhm.
Or people think that Oregon isn't liberal, but I'm like, yeah, it more is a blue state because the little rural areas don't match up to the population and people that are in the blue city or in the cities that have the people.
Yeah.
So people say, oh well, Oregon's not really blue; it's more red than blue, and you know that whole debate. And it's a hard one to actually debate because I'm like, yeah, I can see that, but when you break down the numbers and you see that there's not that many people in these rural areas, and then like you look at Bend, Oregon, and Prineville and Richmond, they're all blue
Mhm.
now anyway.
Yeah, Bend.
They're all blue. So do you think your rural area is going to match up against all these cities that are developed, right? Because that's where the blue cities are at, the development. So you live in a little rural area that's not developed and you have 1,000 people, and then you put that up against Bend, Oregon, that has,
Yeah.
I don't know, however many thousands, it's not going to match up.
Now do that in a state like Florida, right? How does that compare? So like you have the big cities like Tampa, Orlando, obviously red
Right.
cities. When you have small little 1,000.
I don't think is Orlando red? I don't know if Orlando's red.
Tampa's red.
Tampa's red.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Orlando may be blue.
I think Orlando's blue. I don't know. I know that obviously Florida is a red state. I believe it's a red state.
Yeah. DeSantis is
Yeah.
governor.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how I don't know which cities are red or which cities are blue down there. But you have
Orlando's blue.
Orlando's blue, I figured. It's blue as hell. Yeah.
They're telling me Tampa's blue too.
I thought so too. When you said red,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Tampa
there's no
was
major
red.
cities. There's no major cities that are blue that I know of, or red.
Okay.
Excuse me, that I know of.
Huh.
Across the United States, I don't know
I mean,
what city.
Austin's even blue.
Yeah.
Austin,
Oh yeah.
Texas.
Austin's been blue.
Yeah.
It's been
Houston.
blue.
Dallas,
Yeah.
Fort Worth.
I mean, they're blue now. I think back once upon a time, maybe like 90s and early 2000s, they might have been red, but they're definitely blue cities now.
Yeah. I think Oregon needs to go red. It's been blue for way too long, but I don't think it's going to be very hard to do so.
You can't. Here's the problem: is that here comes the doom and gloom preacher, right? So it might make you lose some viewers here, but you can't go back, because what's happening is the liberals do have children, even though they agree with abortion. They still do have children, right? The teachers are liberal, right? The curriculums are being designed by liberal. The colleges are liberal scholars and liberal teachers. So everything is a chain reaction all the way down to the kids, right? So those kids start to grow up. They have kids. Not every single liberal has abortion. Let's just facts is facts.
And not every single liberal believes in abortion.
Right. Not every single liberal believes in abortion. And that's the problem that I think a lot of times we fail to realize, is that the liberals believe in the civil rights of things. And so with the civil rights, that means that you're for that person having a civil right. I'm not going to quench or stop that person if they want to make the choice to have abortion. I may not do it. I want a family. But if you want to have an abortion, okay, that's your civil right. And that's a problem. I think as conservatives, we have a hard time at times grasping. I'll be honest, I have, until I had to start looking at things like, okay, what is really going on? And that's what it is. That's what the liberals fight for, is people's civil rights.
Yeah.
You have the right to live where you want to live. It's a civil right. Yeah, if you want to go get a tattoo, that's your civil right. Right? If you want to color your hair blue, that's your civil right. If you want to get abortion, I may not like it. I may not like your blue hair. I may not like, holes all over your face from piercings, but it's your civil right. So not every Democrat is against, like, they want families, because they don't view it as a murder. That's it, which is another weird thing, right? Here's the weird thing about what Laura just said.
Yeah, I'll pull that back up.
Because what's weird about that is, because if one of us was to do a actual murder, like, on a woman who's pregnant, you know how many counts you'd get? You get 2 counts of murder, because she was carrying a baby. But if she goes and does abortion, it's not considered murder. So
I've never even thought about that.
Yeah, it's weird.
Whoa.
And I truly believe it's actual, that's
me
why,
too.
I mean, I'm against it. I believe it's murder. But they've done something to convince people, again, delusions, to convince people that it's not murder. But then, like I said, it's
Birth control.
Right. Manslaughter to the 2nd degree, because, the woman was carrying a baby. But now it's a baby,
Wow.
but
So that kind of goes along in the same lines of allowing people to do what they want to do, as long as it doesn't affect people's pursuit of happiness.
correct.
I think about the same thing
correct.
with the American flag burning and your constitutional right.
Right. It
It's-
is their right.
Yeah.
It is their
Your
right.
right to burn the flag.
You may not like it, but it's their right. So now we want to regulate and say that's not their right. So who's really out of line here? Who's at fault? Yeah, it sucks. I don't like it. But remember, we have the soldiers, our military, who's fighting for your freedom.
In countries that don't allow that.
But again, in countries that don't allow that, it's because it's established. That's what I'm trying to say. Our freedoms in America have screwed up so much. And then people say they don't want dictatorship. Well, there's pros and cons to the dictators. Because when you have dictatorship, you actually have a rule, these type of things that we're talking about wouldn't be happening.
I don't know that one.
Huh?
Huh.
The what?
Dictator. There's a rule of law, I guess you could say, when there's a dictator. Wait,
Well, no,
go back to it. I'm confused.
no, dictators saying this is what's going to happen and this is what's not. You know, I mean, in a sort of way, that's how God is, right? It's this way or that way. It's cut. You're. This is how we roll. All right, here's the rule. You're not having a bunch of freedom. This is, I mean, like for here, you are a dictator of your own home.
Mhm.
There, right.
As we should be.
Well, correct. But our country hasn't wanted that, so we have freedom in our country because we don't want a dictator. We don't want someone setting rules for individuals and people.
We need them though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We need the freedoms to be able to burn that flag. You know.
Right.
I don't think it's somebody's freedom to get an abortion. That's going to be very hard to change my mind on that aspect. Because it's harming another individual.
Yeah.
Although that individual is something that you created inside of yourself.
Yeah.
So, but then again, what they define is an individual compared to a zygote or an embryo
Yeah. True.
is different.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what they're teaching kids in schools. And well, at least these schools that I've seen,
Mhm.
and what was talked about is they're teaching that, it's okay for it's just a clump of cells.
Right. But
That I've heard that a lot.
But that's going off science.
Yeah. But science is God. And it's not just a clump of cells, right? Because what's up, buddy? You're in the shot. Because if your life is created at conception, then it's not a clump of cells. It's how a human is formed and the beginning stages of how a human's formed. So, like, we consider a plant.
But you guys understand that other people don't believe that. See?
Yeah, true.
So you have that. Because that's my right, my freedom, not to believe how you believe. Freedom of religion, also. You have freedom of religion.
I guess on the other side of that, you can say, I mean, I've seen conservatives say it's my freedom of religion not to get a vaccine.
Correct.
No, it's not. It's not your freedom of religion not to get a vaccine. You're using that as
No, I
a
don't
way
think
to
they
say
say
it's
freedom. I don't think they say freedom of religion. I think they just say my freedom, my that tyranny.
religious exemption.
Well, yeah, they'll use that so that they don't have to get a vaccine. So they'll use the title of Christian not to get the vaccine.
So are they using the same title as these are my freedoms when really it's not your freedom to murder another individual?
Meaning what?
Unless it's determined by law. So you said people believe it's their freedoms to get an abortion. But then we believe.
No, it is their freedom because of what's established in the Constitution. So you have two different things going on. You have faith and religion up against our Constitution and freedoms.
Okay. Constitutional freedom compared to religious freedom.
Yeah, I guess.
It's Atlas, by the way.
The what?
They asked what my cat's name was. Just jumping in the comments real quick, lighting it up. We actually gained some viewers since we started talking about that, Quincy. So
Yeah.
I thought we were going to lose some too.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's all I got, really. I mean, a lot of discussion on Oregon, a lot of things of how we can have a governor actually step up and put some things into play to where we can help the people on the streets rather than just walking over them. You know, we can help the small business owner with regaining, or we'll help with allocating funds to the small businesses or to the police force that were taken from. I mean, we took $20 million from the police force. We took the money out of their detectives' overtime, and
Yeah.
they said you can't work overtime anymore, and they put it into a park, and now that park is being used for people to do their drugs in.
Right.
So I think it's going to be great to see some change here if it actually happens,
Mm-hmm.
if they make it past the primaries, because we're screwed again if we still have Tina Kotek in office, because she's been in office and look at what's happened to Oregon. It's not getting any better on economical issues, our education system, our roads. I mean, even our housing. Ed Deal said it was a housing crisis last night. My
Right.
wife actually told me she doesn't believe it's a housing crisis because it's
Like
the
what?
things that stem into it.
Like
You know,
what?
the drug addiction, people not wanting to go to work. You know,
Yeah.
uh, welfare, COVID, being able to stay home, not going to work, work from home. Now that laziness and complacency has become a thing, nobody wants to go to work, so everybody's poor. And the economy's not moving because nobody's spending money, and whatever we're spending money on, it's to cover from last month.
Right.
So
Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
check.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not a housing problem.
Right.
It's a people problem.
Well, everything comes down to I think everything comes down to a people problem. You know, I mean, nothing's going to happen until people are fed up. And being fed up isn't just having these type of things and people are commenting. That's not fed up. That's just voicing opinions and little frustrations. Nothing's going to happen, and so for me. This is where I come in and I commend the left because they actually do something. Yeah, we can say, oh, you know, we may not like their views and what they're doing, but they come in and they're like, hey, we want change.
Mm-hmm.
We don't do that. We we're more complacent than the left. We're more okay.
100%.
We're more just like, okay, it affects us. I want to type about it in this chat or on social media or wherever. Might have a little small rally with 50 of us, maybe 100. Ooh, we really did something. No, we didn't really do nothing. We had a rally on a Saturday when no one's around. It's not really doing nothing.
Facts.
We don't apply pressure. We don't apply heat.
Mm-hmm.
We're not consistent. We think that it's just going to be voting and voting is going to somehow work this out. No.
Well, I mean, think about this. We have 6 Democratic Socialists of America within our city council. That's how committed the left is. They're infiltrating our city council.
Yeah, I mean, because they believe in it. They know what the fight is.
How many people on the right, or how many people down that you've seen in Portland that are conservatives are running for city council?
None.
Are on the school boards.
None
of these patriots that I know are on school boards or city councils or anything like that.
No.
That's how we change it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you get involved, and that's where the real protests are at. Is 50 people protest? It's always a joke, you know. I mean, and that's why I said that's why I commend, as much as we may not like it, I commend the No Kings March. Like, I'm like, wow, like y'all are serious, like really serious. And I get tired of hearing the whole thing about money. I seriously get tired. And I'm telling you, we have no kings where I'm at. We have no kings protest. They do it, and it's a red town. Okay,
Mhm.
a red town, they have no kings. How come the red town hasn't had anything that even can come close to scratching what the no kings protest numbers show up here? Nothing happens. It's a red town, we're conservative, but yet nothing happens. No sorts of rallies, no sorts of protests. They have a flag wave that happens every Saturday with about 30 cars. When
Mhm.
Trump was running right before this past election, it got up, I think, to the most at 80 cars. Okay. 160,000 people in the county. And when no kings happens, they have about 1,000 to 2,000 people that show up in a red town.
It's not commitment.
Why can they pull out the numbers? And again, in a red town, no excuses, no one does anything.
Mhm.
That's why I'm not out live streaming. There's nothing. Even it's a decent sized town, nothing goes on.
But they got their MAGA hats on.
Yeah, big deal. Who cares?
Protest. There's no such thing as protest on the right
No,
anymore.
not at all.
It's events. Like you
Yeah,
said. I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, they're 1-day events.
Yeah.
They're 1-day events. Let's have let's have a flag wave from 12 to 2. Let's on a Saturday. All right, that was cool. That was fun.
Yeah.
Now what? What did it do? What was it? Oh, we got honks. People honked. Yeah. The biggest flag wave, the biggest, historical flag wave in Portland was the one that happened in 2020 when it was like all the way from Clackamas downtown.
Mhm.
When unfortunate that situation happened. That was a time that made a statement. Like it had the city locked down. Like the city from Clackamas all the way into downtown Portland was locked. But again,
Oregon City Shopping Center is where it started.
yeah,
Right?
I think no, it started at Clackamas Town Center.
Town Center, that's what it was.
It was locked. It was
Yeah.
all the way down the expressway. As people were going down the expressway, people was on their way back from downtown to Portland. It was a massive day of. I'm like, okay, this is a movement, but then again,
What did it do?
exactly, because it was a event and it ended.
Mhm.
Occupy, when they did that in 2010 in downtown Portland, it went on for months. I think it was months, but they were in the park blocks. Yeah, they're sleeping out there. They're being dirty, but hey, we're patriots. We all go hunting and camping.
Mhm.
We'll hunt and camp and protest.
Yeah.
I mean,
The Occupy movement, Quincy, they got something out of that.
they did. I know.
This movement right here, we don't agree with their antics. I don't agree with this, but they brought children to an ICE protest that turned into a riot or an unlawful assembly, and they got those ICE agents to gas them. And they used that to get the judge to sign no more gas.
Mhm.
They won.
Yeah.
We're not doing protests. Conservatives aren't doing protests like that, like you're saying. I mean, that whole Clackamas thing, you're right. Nothing happened after that. That was putting on something like, hey, we're here.
Yeah.
If we need to put on a protest, bills need to get signed during that protest. Executive orders need to get signed during that protest.
Protest should bring change.
Yeah.
That's what a protest does. If we're not bringing change and we're expecting to sit here and wait for every 2 years or every 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
because here's the thing. Why are things changing in school, in your local government all year long? It's not from the conservatives. It's from the left applying pressure.
True.
Things are always changing. And it's no advantage to the right. Things aren't really changing in favor of the right. It's always in favor of the left for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't have these books in schools 30 years ago.
Right.
Liberals put themselves into school board positions.
They do.
I mean, you talked about the religious aspect of other countries, like their government is their religion. You're not changing that.
You're not going to change that in another country.
You went over to Minnesota
Not going to
and
change.
you walked into that Walmart. You're not changing that.
No. You're not changing it.
You're not changing that one bit.
Mm-mm.
Well,
But that
Quincy, I think that's scary.
is it? I don't know. I'm not scared.
It's not. I mean, I guess so. It's scary for the normalcy as an American. You know, we've got this westernized thing. We don't want to see, all of this in our schools.
We're complacent. Conservatives are complacent. Conservatives are lazy.
We don't really want the fraud out of our community if we're not going to get it out of our community, right?
Well, I mean, yeah. It's out of sight, out of mind. Right? It's out of sight. It really don't, like I said, and that's what basic conservatism is.
Mm-hmm.
I stay to myself. Leave me alone. I want to be in my own little oasis, a mile away from my neighbor down the street, type of thing. Just me. I'm conservative. I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
The liberalism and the socialism goes into the neighbor next door to me, right? And the community and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas conservatives, we're like, just leave me alone. Aren't you that way?
Yeah, I don't know my neighbor. Leave me alone. Right? Leave me alone, I'll leave you alone.
Right.
But that's not what I do on social media.
Right.
It's my gig to talk about what's wrong with people, but maybe we got to take a look at what's wrong with ourselves and what we're not doing. And that's what I'll take out of this conversation is yes, we have these problems, but we're the reason why.
Yeah, we're the
It's not
reason
the
why.
left.
I mean, it's no different. It's no different than anything. I mean, even gas prices or whatever we complain about.
Mhm.
Okay, we complain, but are you really fed up? If we, I mean, and that includes myself. I mean, I really don't complain that much about this stuff because I'm like, okay, because I look at all of it like when I'm like kind of like what we're talking about, and until we, the people, actually more do something than just wait on, oh, we're going to vote for Trump or we're going to vote for the next conservative that is going to give us maybe a bunch of promises and it don't work out for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
We have to get back to a place of being in control, but it's too late. I mean, it's never going to happen. It's not going to happen, which is just funny because we put it this way. I'll just say it in simplest terms, right? Eggs are $20, right? Just say they're $20.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to stay at $20 until everybody stops buying the eggs. We're the problem because we're not fed up with anything yet. Does that make sense?
What gets to that point?
I don't know.
For you?
Whatever. I don't know what gets to that point for me. To be honest, I don't know. And again, then everybody else is at the same. It's at the same thing. Your tolerance level for when you're fed up is $10 a gallon too much for you? Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Maybe you make good money and you can afford $10 a gallon. Maybe I can't. So right. I'm fed up at that point.
Maybe I ride a bike.
Right. You see, so the only way things are going to change is when everybody is at that level with the government, no matter if it's city government or federal, that they're at the point of like, yo, I'm done. Y'all have killed us.
Mm-hmm.
But right now we're not affected. We say we are, but we're really not.
Yeah. I mean, that's how revolutions start.
Exactly.
And
that's how it starts. when people are
But
fed up.
Americans are complacent and scared.
Right. And then here's the thing. How do you do that against, and I thought about this, and I don't know what our armed forces or military, how exactly they would act if such thing would happen. Like if there was such a uprising, right? I don't know how they would act. You'd hope that they'd be actually for the people and be against the government. But let's just say they weren't. Are people ready for that? With the military that we have,
Mm-hmm.
are people really ready for that type of battle? I don't think so.
No. And you look at the other countries where their guns have been taken away.
Yeah.
Those are the countries that are revolting, and that's a good point here. Somebody said, guns are the breaking point.
Yeah.
Everybody got guns.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Quincy, I'm on that same page with you. Now that we've had this conversation, I think it's complacency.
Yeah.
Is the main word of the day.
Yeah.
For conservatives alone.
Yep.
Liberals fight for something.
It's the same with the church. Church is complacent as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
they've left themselves. They've ran away from the state, right?
Because they ran away from the state?
Or, I mean, like, there's no church in God, or no church in schools, or God in schools. There's no God in politics no more.
No, right? I'm just saying that the church, people in church they're complacent. There's no fight. There's no fight. And that's where the real fights need to be. And that's just where the real fights need to be. The real fights need to be outside of the church. Real fights need to be with the government, the city officials. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about 100 people or 50 people or 25 people or 10 people. It has to be numbers. I mean, the 3% was made for a reason. 3% is actually a factual thing. So if you take the population of Oregon, or just say the population of Portland, if you want change, get 3% to actually do something.
What's the population in Portland?
I'm not sure what it is exactly.
I don't know. I live here, so I don't even know it.
But you get to 3% to actually do something.
The population of Portland right now, currently. Hold on, we're gonna switch up some things here. It's 635,000.
It's what?
So 3%, 635,000.
635,000. Yeah, so at times 0.3. So you need about 20,000 people. There you go.
Yeah.
Start with that. You don't have enough patriots who are bold and tough to do that daily.
Yep, 19,000 people.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm saying that out of respect. It's not a disrespect. It's just I'm saying that out of respect, but at the same time laughing and being sarcastic about it because I know people aren't going to do it. So how are you going to get the change? 3%. You're not, because I mean, it's just a fact. You can't you can hardly even get 100 people for a flag wave on a Saturday. And I know that because I've been part of plenty of them for years. So if you can't get that even on a Saturday, how do you expect to get 20,000 religiously daily putting up a fight against your government? And I'm not saying fight. I'm not saying violence. I'm saying protest. I'm saying, we are here because we demand a change. We are not leaving until there's a change. That was the thing that was the thing that was the thing that the left and even Martin Luther King did. That's why, and that's something that the left has got down. So Martin Luther King, they did this stuff. My dad, my adopted dad, he did that. He was a freedom rider. He did the diner sit-ins where they go protest or sit down. You're going to arrest us. The right won't do that. We want to fight. We want to argue, cry wolf, and then we got arrested and we can't do something. right? These people, my stepdad would go in, sit out. He's going to sit there. He's not going to argue with the counter. Oh, I'm black and I can be here and da 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 da. We're going to sit here peacefully. Okay, come in, arrest us. Okay, we'll take the arrest and we'll go back to church. We're not going to argue with the police.
Sure.
You know, all this other stuff. It's ridiculous. It's ineffective. It don't do nothing. Yeah, you know, everybody likes drama. That's why, you know, my shows, you know, people don't really like it. It's not full of drama. It's more stuff like this. It's more hard conversations, hard talks, which I'm fine with. But it's because I come from a place of history, experiences, biblical stuff, and I just mix it all together because it's all, you know, what's going on. So and knowing what the freedom riders actually went through. What's that?
So that makes you the black conservative preacher.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's just a title. It's just a title. It's actually what makes Quincy Quincy.
Okay, fair enough. There you go. The Freedom Riders went through a lot, didn't they?
Yeah.
Getting arrested. I've read a little bit. We did a little bit about that in high school when I was in high school, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I need to read more about that because that's real protest. You think about what the monks are doing right now across the country.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Is that similar?
you know, yeah, what the monks are doing?
Yeah.
No, that's not similar.
Okay.
I think they're just walking to kind of like bring awareness and peace type of thing. They're not getting in trouble for that.
They're not getting in trouble for that. They're just walking.
Yeah.
Okay. But the Freedom Riders actually got in trouble. Like they got arrested.
Yeah, because it was a time where black people couldn't be in a restaurant.
Here in Portland?
You said here in Portland?
Yeah. Well, everywhere.
Yeah, mostly in the South.
In the South.
Yeah.
Man, that's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were silent too when they got arrested, huh? They didn't say nothing.
No, they weren't saying nothing.
Wow. See, people when they get arrested for fighting their cause now, they're yelling.
Yeah, I mean, no matter who it is. Yeah, no matter, you know, what side or whatever, people are mad. So there's not really ever the left has done more at times, more peaceful protests. I mean, I know it's hard to believe, but there are individuals that have done the like, okay, I'm going to sit down. All right, you're going to come arrest me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't ever see that on the right. The right is not. Yeah, they're afraid. You know, I got business, I got family, I got a job. So that's what I'm trying to say. We're not at a place yet that we're fed up. We won't be at a place. We won't be at a place where we're fed up until it personally impacts us individual.
Fair enough.
And again, everybody's tolerance level is different. So
yeah, I bet your tolerance is different than my tolerance, but it's like it's what we tolerate.
Right.
There's a difference.
So it has to be something that they put in effect that affects all of us, and all of us are mad. See, and to be honest with you, I mean, as crazy as it sounds, it could be an Epstein type of thing.
That I was just about to ask that.
It could be an Epstein type of thing where it brings everybody together to be like, yo, we've had enough of the government. It could be. I don't know. So.
Well, I think it's going to happen, or if it does happen, you know, I want to be on that right side of history.
You want to be on the right side of history, and like Reverend Gunn said, yeah, I did see it, and that's the only way. Thanks, Reverend Gunn. It could have happened, but we failed. But yeah.
Well, do you think it's going to happen again soon? Do you think
No.
people are going to? No.
Um,
More election cycles?
It's going to be more election cycles. The only way I could see it actually happening again is if the right and the left come together. And it has to be an issue something like Epstein, or that, if you want to say, unfortunately, that Trump was in the Epstein type of thing. I think that's the only way, because we're divided when it comes to war. It has to be something that's going to piss off both sides. See, the No Kings is gaining momentum.
Yeah, it is. But I don't think it's going to gain momentum on the right.
It don't gain momentum on the right, but the only reason why it doesn't gain momentum on the right, I think, partly is because of the loyalty that the right has toward Trump. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that that's what the fact is.
Right.
They've
made it anti-Trump.
Right. They've made it anti-Trump. And so that's why I don't think the right gets too much involved.
Yeah.
But even though they've made it anti-Trump, it still grows and they still have numbers. And it's not completely all anti-Trump. A lot of it's just anti-government.
Well, they don't realize that when people come together, they're a lot more powerful than they are separated.
That too. And that's another area where we've failed at, especially on the right, and even, well, especially on the right, because we get too into the loyalty aspect of the party system. And that's one thing that the left has, in a lot of ways, the left has came against, right? Because they say we're anti-fascist, however you want to take that. But a lot of the left are not liking either side.
That's true. That's true. We saw that with the Iranian woman that we met down in Texas, or down at the ICE facility.
Yeah, she don't like either side. A lot of the left does not like either side. So we call them left, where a lot of times they're more independent, maybe liberal minded, right? But they don't like really either side. They don't like the Democrats. They don't like the Republicans. And here we are over here, Republican, Trump, conservative, and I get it. But half the time when people are saying all these titles and names, they're not even fully understanding what they're saying. Or they group it all together.
Well, this No Kings thing is going to be pretty intense. Where are you going to be for the No Kings thing this weekend?
It's next weekend, the 28th.
Next weekend, sorry.
I haven't decided yet.
To go anywhere?
I got plans, but I don't know if those plans are going to work out. Right now, they're not looking like they're going to work out. So, I don't know. I'll probably do Portland. So,
well, we'll see you here if you're here. Last No Kings, guys. I did No Kings with Quincy for a little while. We walked along the bridge, and then we're at the beginning of the parade with the Grand Marshal.
That was a sight.
The cross-dressing Grand Marshal of the parade.
Yeah. That was a sight.
Thousands and thousands. That was the most people that I've ever been in a crowd with.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a big crowd for me.
Yeah.
So, but we'll be there. We're going to be at the Portland one. I think if Quincy's down there, we'll definitely see him down there. I think we're gonna end it here. I think that was a great interview with Quincy, guys. Quincy, thanks for coming on, man.
Yes, sir.
Great to get some knowledge from you. Great to understand, where you come from on this side of the aisle, and what you can bring to the table with your knowledge and experience. So thanks for coming on the Guyer Show, Quincy. Everybody follow the VC Preacher across all social media platforms, on his payment platforms.
getting him to these places, guys. It's not cheap getting to report for you guys and show you guys what goes on, as he says, on American streets. So his payment platforms, on all payment platforms, Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, Buy Me a Coffee. That's the BC Preacher, across all payment platforms and social media platforms. We're gonna have Quincy on again here soon. Follow his live streams. He goes live, talks about anything that's happened here on American streets and even over in foreign countries. He's also got these Bible studies and things that he's got going on. So go to his YouTube channel. If you want to learn about the Bible, you want to learn about him a little bit, politics, he's got memberships. So subscribe to his channel, his memberships. I'll drop those in the comments here. Quincy, thanks for having us. We're going to cut it too. Guys, we're going to end up cutting the stream early, and we'll join a space later on today. So just remember to do something good for yourselves, do something good for somebody else, and we'll see you on the flip side. Quincy,
Sounds good.
join us.
God bless.
And we will see you guys later on.
This is the Gaia Show. Yeah. This is the Gaia Show. On the front lines, up in your face, red light on, and the tape rolls. We don't blink when we